I couldn't believe my ears when I answered the phone. Are you serious? I practically yelled when my mom suggested something utterly out of the blue. Marry my sister-in-law. How did we even get to that topic? My name is Brandon, and I'm 31 years old. I was just expecting a regular check-in call from my mom. But instead, I got, Brandon, how are you? Listen, this might be sudden, but would you marry Emily? What? Where did that come from? It's not exactly a normal follow-up to how are you. I was so stunned that I blurted out my shock. For a moment, I wondered if something was wrong with my mom, but she stayed calm and kept talking. Well, you see, Emily's having a tough time raising her child alone. Linda from the neighborhood mentioned that Emily seemed really tired lately. Linda. The same Linda who's been nosy since I was a kid. I was curious about what she had seen this time. Emily, my sister-in-law, lives about 3 hours away, so we only see each other during the holidays. This past Thanksgiving, I had a great time playing with my 5-year-old niece, Sophie. But now, Linda's observation had me worried about Emily. What happened to Emily? I asked. According to Linda, Emily was at the park with Sophie, just sitting on a bench, not even responding when Sophie called her. She looked really worn out. I started to think about Emily, who always seemed so cheerful. But doing everything alone must be exhausting. I met Emily when I was still in college. My brother Michael introduced us when I was 22, and he was 5 years older than me. We weren't super close as brothers, probably because of our age gap and different personalities. I was all about baseball, while Michael preferred reading and crafting. He was the smart one, often helping me with my studies. Brandon, do you need any study guides for the entrance exams? I can help you out, Michael would say. I wasn't confident about my high school entrance exams since I spent most of my time in club activities. So, instead of cram school, I asked Michael for help. First, try solving these problems, he said. I didn't do too well on the first try, but seeing my results, Michael became an enthusiastic tutor. We worked hard together, and I managed to pass the exam for my desired high school. Michael, already a college student by then, was thrilled for me. That's great, Brandon. You worked hard, he said, ruffling my hair. That moment stuck with me. From then on, we started talking more. Michael, always a step ahead, became my role model. He could be stubborn, but he was kind, and I looked up to him. When I was in my sophomore year of college, Michael was 25, and that's when he introduced me to Emily. I remember how bashful he sounded on the phone. Brandon, I want to introduce you to someone, he said, trying not to sound too excited. A girlfriend. That's awesome, bro. I can't wait to meet her, I replied, eager to see the woman who had captured Michael's heart. She's not just my girlfriend. I'm thinking of marrying her. Michael was calm and intellectual, which made him popular with women, though he seemed oblivious to it. I couldn't wait to meet the woman he wanted to marry. Getting married. That's huge. When do I get to meet her? I'll be home for New Year's. Will you be around, Brandon? Yeah, I'll be there. My part-time job's on break. I'm looking forward to it. I'll call you again when I have more details. After hanging up, I told my parents, and it turned out they had already heard. They were just as excited as I was. As New Year's approached, we eagerly cleaned the house and did some serious shopping. Finally, the day came when Michael would bring his girlfriend over. We were all restless after Michael called to say they were almost here. When the doorbell rang, we even argued over who should answer it. I ended up opening the front door. Brandon, long time no see. How are Mom and Dad? They're good, and you must be his girlfriend. Nice to meet you. Standing nervously behind Michael was Emily, his future wife. She stepped forward, trying to hide her nerves, and replied politely, "Nice to meet you. I'm Emily. I'm in a relationship with Michael." Sorry for intruding on your New Year's family gathering. Thank you so much for letting me come. I couldn't help but like Emily right away. Despite her nervousness, she greeted us with such politeness. She had fair skin, big eyes, and something adorably kitten-like about her. I thought she was genuinely cute, and it seemed my parents felt the same. Oh my, she's so cute. Dad, isn't she just adorable? Emily, the woman set to become your mother-in-law, seems to have really taken a liking to you. I thought to myself. Any worries about typical mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues quickly faded away. Indeed, she's a lovely young lady. Let's not stand in the entrance. Please come in, Dad said, smiling like I'd never seen before. He once mentioned how fun it was raising 2 boys, but he always wanted to raise a girl too. He let that slip while slightly tipsy. I'm looking forward to you and Michael finding wives, he had said at the time. I had just broken up with a girlfriend, so I could only respond with a wry smile. Yeah, let's go in. And Emily, please don't be nervous. If I may say so myself, you'll find everyone in our family quite nice, I reassured her. Michael, who is usually kind, had a particularly gentle expression reserved just for Emily. She had really caught a great guy. We introduced ourselves a bit nervously and enjoyed a meal together. Mom was incredibly enthusiastic, preparing lots of Michael's favorite dishes. We had a great time looking at photo albums and spending time together. That time is still a precious memory for me. Thanks for today. It was fun. And thanks for meeting Emily. She's such a great person. Take good care of her, bro. Yeah, count on me, Michael said proudly, and Emily smiled shyly but looked very happy. My parents and I watched them leave, and a happy day came to an end. Their relationship progressed smoothly, and a year later, they happily held their wedding ceremony. Brandon, I'm so happy to become family with you. Me too. Can I call you sis from now on? Of course you can. I'm fine with bro too. It'd be weird if Brandon suddenly started calling me big brother now, right? Probably. I'll still call you bro even when we're old and gray. That's fine by me. Hey, let's drink together even when we're old, Michael said with a grin. We did a fist bump as we watched the ceremony to the end. Seeing them pledge their eternal love in the chapel was so moving. I cried a little. Well, maybe more than a little. After the wedding, Michael and Emily lived happily, and we all got along well as an extended family. 3 years into their marriage, Michael called to say they had something to tell us and asked if they could come over. I was at work at the time and only heard about it when I got home. But when I found out Michael and Emily were coming, I noticed something was off with my usually cheerful mom. What's wrong, Mom? You seem more gloomy than usual. Did something happen? Mom is usually optimistic and laughs a lot, but she was different this time. She seemed a bit troubled when I asked her. Do I? Well, I'm a bit worried. Michael sounded so lifeless on the phone. It was just different from usual. All I could do was nod vaguely at her words. I couldn't imagine a downcast Michael. He's always been so calm, but being calm is different from lacking energy. Thinking we'd understand better once we met, I tried to encourage Mom. Maybe he's just tired from work. We'll know when we see them. That seemed to settle her a bit. That's true. No point worrying now. They're coming this Saturday, so let's make some delicious food to cheer them up. Mom started cleaning the house as usual, and I felt relieved. I was looking forward to seeing Michael again on Saturday. About 20 minutes after Michael texted to say they were almost home, they arrived at the front door. Our smiles froze when we saw them. Michael had lost a noticeable amount of weight. He'd always been slim, and we never thought he'd need to diet. Hey, long time no see. Surprised? Huh. I lost some weight, Michael said with a smile, but his smile seemed tired. Shall we go in? You must be tired. Emily gently nudged him with a worried look. Snapping out of it, My parents invited them to sit in the living room. We all sat around the dining table in silence until Mom served tea. After taking a slow sip, Michael began talking. Sorry for the shock. I lost a lot of weight. Losing weight really drained your energy. What happened? Heat stroke? Mom asked, her brows furrowed with concern. No, not heat stroke. Cancer. Terminal. They said I have a year left. Michael spoke so casually, like he was talking about the weather. Naturally, my parents and I froze. I don't know how long we stayed like that, but we snapped out of it when Emily sniffled. I moistened my dry mouth with tea and forced myself to speak. Probably Dad or Mom should have asked, but they were still in shock. I had to be strong and start the conversation since we all had the same questions. Terminal? Is it really? I mean, incurable. Not even surgery or chemotherapy? I asked, my voice trembling. Michael responded calmly, yes, there's nothing that can be done. I even sought second opinions, hoping to extend my life, but after visiting 4 hospitals, they all said the same thing. I'm just tired of it all. Emily was silently crying next to him. It broke my heart. They had just built a house, and they were both so excited about their careers. They had so much to look forward to. You were so happy about the big project at work. Why does it have to be you, bro? I said, my voice shaking as I fought back tears. It's harder for Michael, I thought. They had just gotten married, bought their own home, and everything was going well. Their future was suddenly given a finite deadline. That was the hardest part. Is there anything we can do? Anything we can help with? Mom asked through her tears, but even while crying, she looked steadily into Michael's eyes. There's a lot, but the most immediate request is about Emily, Michael said, looking at her with his usual gentle smile. Emily tried to smile back, but tears kept streaming down her face. Emily's pregnant. Hearing that, I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. A strange sound came from deep in my throat as the realization hit me. Tears wouldn't stop flowing. Mom started crying loudly, too. I buried my face in my sleeve like a child. Will you make it? Will you get to see your child, even just for a moment? Dad asked, his voice trembling. I plan to see the child. I want to, at all costs. I hope to be there for at least the first 3 months after the birth, Michael replied. As we wiped our tears, I saw Michael smiling. Emily was smiling next to him too. I couldn't stop wondering how much they had talked and cried about this before telling us. The thought made me cry again. It's going to be tough after the baby is born, right? I plan to go to fatherhood classes and share the parenting since Emily has no parents. Could we ask for help after the birth? Don't worry. Leave it to us. We'll be there for you. Emily, will you rely on me? Mom said, her voice steady despite the tears. Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Mom. I appreciate it, Emily responded, her voice breaking. Sorry, Dad, Mom. I haven't been a good son. And the order of things is all wrong, isn't it? Sorry, Brandon. I guess I won't be able to drink with you when we're old. Michael apologized, referencing our conversation from the wedding. I managed to smile through my tears. I'll drink on your behalf, bro. Do that for me, but don't overdo it, okay? He said, reaching across the table to ruffle my hair. His hand was still Michael's, but the wrist peeking out of his sleeve was thin. This conversation wasn't a lie or a dream. It was real. Michael really had limited time left. The reality was so sad and frustrating that I cried again. I wanted to rebel, saying I wasn't the child to be comforted, but maybe this could be the last time he'd comfort me. Maybe there's still time, but maybe, can I enjoy being comforted for a bit longer? Bro, I'll ruffle your hair as much as you want until it's time, Michael said happily, continuing to ruffle my hair. My parents and I were visibly affected, and I could hear them sniffing louder, but I didn't mind. I think Michael probably didn't either. After being comforted by Michael for as long as I needed, he and Emily eventually left. Our entire family was worried about them driving home. Even though I might have lost some strength and get tired more easily now, I still want to live as normally as possible. I assured them not to worry, promising to make sure he'd be careful. We repeatedly reminded Emily to take good care of Michael before seeing them off. As soon as they left, Mom collapsed in tears. Why? Why does it have to be him? Why does he have to go through this? She cried like I had never seen before, wailing loudly. I would take his place if I could, especially now that they're expecting a child. Even Dad, who had tried to remain calm, knelt beside Mom and cried. He was just trying to stay composed, but I knew he wanted to cry too. Dad has always been a devoted father, and seeing my parents like this broke my heart. I knelt down and hugged them both. The parents who once seemed so big and protective now felt so small to me. Let's do everything we can to support Michael and Emily, I said, my voice choked with tears. I don't know how, but we'll give it our all. My words brought us together, and we agreed on 3 things during our family meeting: not to impose our opinions on Michael and Emily, to support whatever they wanted to do, and to offer financial help within reason. We were careful to give them space, but we stayed involved in their lives. When Emily had severe morning sickness, Mom stayed overnight with her, and Dad or I accompanied her to the hospital when needed. As time passed, Emily's pregnancy reached 6 months, and Michael found strength in talking to their growing child. But then, one late night, the phone rang, startling us all. I took care of Mom, who was frozen in shock, while Dad answered the call. Hello, Emily. Yeah. Dad's tense voice filled us with dread. Mom clutched my sleeve, and I held her tightly. Understood. We'll be there right away, Dad said, and I knew the time had come sooner than expected. Is Michael not doing well? I asked, my heart sinking. He suddenly became unwell and lost consciousness. They've asked for the family to come, Dad explained. Why now? Mom cried. He was so close to meeting his child. I felt a wave of frustration, but I knew we needed to stay strong. Encouraging my devastated parents, I spoke up. Let's say our goodbyes properly. Let's get dressed quickly. Dad, should I drive? It might be safer. My calm tone seemed to motivate my parents, and they began to move. Would you mind? Thank you, Dad said, relieved. We hurried through the night, driving 3 long hours on the highway to the hospital. I kept wishing it were closer, but we trusted the doctors Michael and Emily had chosen, so we never interfered with their decision. When we finally arrived, we were led to Michael's room. It was a simple private room, where my brother lay on the bed, looking so fragile. Emily was by his side, crying and holding his hand. Look, everyone's here. Your father, mother, and Brandon, she said to him, her voice trembling. Michael. My parents spoke to him one after another, but I stood frozen, unable to move. I had so much to say, but saying goodbye felt like accepting the inevitable, and I couldn't find the courage. Emily, still crying, gently pulled my hand. Brandon, please say your goodbyes to Michael, she urged, her grip surprisingly strong. She was the one suffering the most, with a child to raise on her own now. I couldn't afford to be scared. I nodded and let her lead me to Michael's bed. I took his thin hand in mine. Bro, you've worked so hard, I said, my voice shaking. I'll never forget you. Don't worry about Emily and the baby. We'll take good care of them. It's okay. I squeezed his hand tightly, hoping it would reassure him. I wiped away my tears as Emily spoke to him too. Thank you for all the happiness, she said softly. Our time together might have been shorter than others, but I was happy. I'll make sure our child is happy too. Thank you. We all cried uncontrollably as if Michael had waited for everyone's farewells before quietly passing away. After that, I cried so much I lost track of time. When I finally came to my senses, everything was over. A small altar for Michael was set up in our house. Every day, we gathered as a family to pray at the altar and remember Michael. Emily, we're excited for you, but are you okay? Going back to the house Michael built alone is worrying, but Emily insisted. She refused to stay with us until after the birth and recovery. I need to be in the house Michael built for us, she said through tears. We couldn't insist, so we asked her to contact us if anything happened and kept our distance. Then, as my parents and I discussed the timing, we got a message from Emily. She was going into labor and heading to the hospital. Mom quickly got ready, and Dad prepared the car. Let's go, Mom said, grabbing her bag. Brandon, can you stay home? Sure, I'll be fine, I replied. Seeing Mom so busy, I felt relieved. She had been quite down after my parents left. I prayed at Michael's altar, hoping everything would go well for Emily. The next morning, around 10 a.m., I got a call from Mom. She's born, a beautiful baby girl. Emily is tired but okay. Relief washed over me, and tears of joy rolled down my cheeks. That's great, I managed to say. After hanging up, I prayed again at Michael's altar, feeling that even Michael's photo seemed pleased. I met my niece, Sophie, about 2 weeks after her discharge from the hospital. Ma had warned me that a woman's body after childbirth is like recovering from a car accident, which was quite scary. Thank you, Brandon, Emily said, propped up in bed with the baby. I'm single and clueless, but I heard a woman's body needs care after childbirth, so please lean on Mom and take it easy. Thank you. Mom has been taking care of everything, I replied. You're our beloved daughter now, and you gave us a grandchild. Thank you. Emily named her Sophie after Michael. She offered for me to hold the baby, but I refused. I was too scared of something happening to her. No, I can't, I said, panicking. The women laughed, but Dad understood my fear. I get it, Brandon. I was the same with Michael. I agreed with Dad and asked to take a photo with my phone instead. Let me hold her when she's a bit stronger. Can I take a picture? I asked. Of course, Emily said. I took countless photos. Sophie looked adorable up close. When she opened her eyes, she somehow resembled Michael, and tears welled up in my eyes. Maybe she does look a bit like Bro, I thought, wiping my tears as I began my first meeting with Sophie. Years later, while driving to see Emily, I thought about everything that had happened. Sophie was now a thriving 5-year-old, and Emily had been raising her alone while working. She looked well when I last visited, but I decided to surprise her this time instead of calling ahead. I had arrived at the house Michael built, where Emily and Sophie now lived. I pressed the intercom button and heard Sophie's footsteps running inside. Just a minute, Sophie. Don't open the door yourself, Emily said. But Sophie ignored her and flung the door open. Brandon, what brings you here? Emily looked tired. Hey, Emily. It's been a while. I'm here to take Sophie for a bit. My sudden offer surprised her. What do you mean, take her? You're pushing yourself too hard. How much are you sleeping and eating? I asked gently. I knew Emily, who struggles to ask for help and handles everything on her own, would only push herself harder if she felt criticized. I'll take Sophie to a theme park she's been wanting to visit. We'll be away for 2 nights. Can you let her kindergarten know she'll be off for 3 days? I showed Sophie the tickets with her favorite characters on them. Hey Sophie, how about a trip to the park with Uncle Brandon? When Sophie recognized the theme park, her face lit up with joy. Let's go with Uncle Brandon. Mom's staying home to take a break. She needs it too, I said. It might be tough for my 5-year-old niece to grasp, but I explained that her mom needed rest. Sophie glanced at me and then at Emily before breaking into a big smile. Okay, Mom. I want to wear my pink pants. Let's go now. Emily snapped back to reality. Pink pants. Got it. Can we chat while you get her things ready? Sure, I replied. We quickly packed Sophie's things together. While Sophie chose a stuffed animal to bring along, I took a moment to talk with Emily. I told her how Linda had noticed Emily looked exhausted and how we were concerned about her. Linda even suggested I should marry her. Emily was shocked. What? Your mom said that? She asked, surprised. Her reaction was what I expected. I was baffled at first too. We both laughed, though I was trying to stay strong for Sophie. Tears started to well up in Emily's eyes. I could tell she hadn't shared her struggles with anyone since Michael passed away. I handed her a handkerchief and felt a strong urge to support her. Maybe making Mom's suggestion a reality wasn't such a bad idea. Emily and Sophie's feelings mattered, but I thought it could be a good idea. We knew each other's personalities, even if there were things we hadn't shown. It's better than starting from scratch. Emily looked up at me, tears still in her eyes, her face flushed. Are you teasing me? This is a big deal for me and Sophie. I'm not teasing, I said. I understand it's important. You're tired now and need rest. Here's something from Mom. I handed her an envelope filled with cash and said, she wants you to use this for yourself. Emily cried a bit more, but looked somewhat relieved. You look relieved, I said. I'm glad you could cry. Think about what I said. I never thought of you that way, Brandon. You've always been just my brother-in-law. But now, I remember something Michael said. What did he say? I asked. He said you were kind and compassionate. If anything happened, I should rely on you. That I could trust you with me and the baby. Emily chuckled. It sounded so bossy at the time, but now it makes sense. I laughed. Michael's intuition was spot on. He trusted me enough to believe I could take care of his family. I laughed again, trying to hide my emotions. Emily laughed too, and just then, Sophie returned, carrying an armful of stuffed animals and looking thrilled. Her adorable excitement made us both laugh. After convincing Sophie to bring just one toy, we headed off for 2 fun nights. Sophie behaved well, managing bathroom trips and changing clothes on her own. After bathing her at my parents' house, I knew there'd be no issues. But her boundless energy was impressive. By the second night, I fully grasped the challenges of parenting and deeply respected Emily for handling it all alone. All right, let's head back to Mom's place. Yay, Sophie cheered. After 2 fun-filled nights and 3 days away, we finally returned home. Emily was waiting for us outside, just as I had promised. Sophie, bursting with excitement, waved at us from the car window. Once we parked and I got her out, she ran straight into Emily's arms. Sophie chattered nonstop about our adventures, and Emily, smiling and attentive, seemed more energized. Once inside, Sophie plopped down on my lap, using my arms as a chair. It was so cute that I couldn't help but smile as I recounted our activities. As Sophie started to get sleepy and fussy, Emily suggested bedtime. But Sophie refused to be held by her, saying, I want to sleep with Uncle Brandon, not Mommy. Uncle Brandon, hold me. I picked up the grumpy Sophie and asked Emily to set up a bed. All right, let's sleep. Uncle Brandon will be here too, I said as I lay down next to her. Sophie chatted for a bit but soon fell asleep. Watching her peaceful face, I thought how adorable she was, and I must have drifted off too. I woke up to Sophie patting my face. Seeing me jump, both Sophie and Emily burst into laughter. You looked so comfy sleeping next to Sophie that we didn't want to wake you, Emily said. I was surprised. Keeping up with a 5-year-old's energy for 2 days straight had been more tiring than I expected. Suddenly, Sophie asked, Hey, Uncle Brandon, aren't you staying here? I was puzzled. Emily seemed confused too. Sophie continued, I want Uncle Brandon to always be at our house. I want to play, eat meals together, and nap. I wish Uncle Brandon could be my daddy. Emily was quiet, unsure how to respond. Sophie pointed at Michael's photo and said, "It's okay to have two daddies." Emily started crying, and I couldn't help but join her. Sophie looked bewildered and asked, "Mommy, does it hurt somewhere?" Emily, wiping her tears, said, "No, honey, I'm just surprised by how thoughtful you are. Yes, having two daddies is okay." I felt genuinely moved by Sophie's innocence and clarity. I silently vowed to make her and Emily happy, taking Michael's place. Of course, that includes both Sophie and Emily. Sophie then suggested, "Should we ask Mom? If Michael were here, he'd laugh and say everything will work out just fine." Emily said to me, "Thank you, Brandon. How about we start dating with the understanding that you'll be a dad?" Those words made me incredibly happy. "Thank you, I'm looking forward to it," I replied. Sophie cheered, "Yay, let's hug." She pulled me over to Emily for a group hug. All three of us smiled. Sophie kept repeating hug and giggling happily while Emily smiled shyly. I vowed to myself and to Michael to always protect these smiles.